get ready to wait in long ass lines and mail it if you want to vote this year. So pretty much, even though we're trying to do a normal election, but if Jesse plays his video, the places that want to have the presidential debates, they're scared of getting coronavirus at their facilities. So they're like, no, I don't want the presidential debate. I don't care how important it is. I don't want these two old white men in here. So you can play this clip real quick, Jesse.
After the University of Notre Dame withdrew from hosting the Commission on Presidential Debates, announcing a new location for the first 2020 presidential debate. The commission sending a release stating the debate will now take place at Case Western Reserve University, located in Cleveland, Ohio. It's currently scheduled to take place on the Health Education campus on September 29th, while the second presidential debate will happen in Miami on October 15th, and the third will be at Belmont University in Nashville on October 22nd.
So pretty much it's coming soon. It's pretty scary that this decision has to be made soon between Trump and Biden. So that's what's going down soon. It's like the coronavirus plus the elections pretty much. This is pretty much what's happening. Even the debate schedules.
Yeah, a lot of what we're going to see in these debates are going to have a lot to do with the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. So it's going to be really interesting, because the moderators, depending on which media they're supposedly representing, we don't know which media groups are going to be moderating the debates, but whoever ends up moderating the debates, you're not going to be able to escape the questions about how the COVID-19 pandemic has been handled. So, I find it really interesting that Trump is complaining about his lack of approval ratings. Well, when those questions come out, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to be able to explain the decisions that he made and the things that he chose not to do and the things that he chose to do. So really be very interesting to see how that all pans out.
We see, but we've been here before with Hillary. She's winning. She's in it to win it. She's going to win it. And if Jesse plays his clip, this country's pretty racist and crazy, so you never know what might go down in November. So
we still have more than 100 days to this election, but at this point, you're losing.
First of all, I'm not losing, because those are fake polls.
It's just over 100 days until the election. This is your 2020 picks.
So
as we head down the home stretch of the election, Joe Biden has a growing and consistent lead in the polls, with recent polls, including one from the Washington Post and ABC News, showing him leading by double digits. Biden appears to have grown his lead in large part because of negative reviews of the president's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Trump faces a deficit that has few comparisons in modern politics, especially
it's like Biden. We don't like you, but
at the same
we really
time,
hate
there
Trump.
There are more than 100 days until the election, and things can change. Here are 4 things to watch out for. Number 1 is a potential Supreme Court vacancy. We learned recently that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg had a recurrence of cancer a few months ago. She says she's doing better and plans to stay on the court for the foreseeable future. But the vacancy that can push the court even more towards conservatives.
She's going to stay alive just to make sure that they don't put another conservative judge.
In 2018, Republicans thought the treatment of then Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh might help them in the midterm elections. In the end, though, Democrats actually retook the House. A second thing to watch for as we approach the election is the shift from polls of registered voters to polls of likely voters. This is something that often helps Republicans whose voters are more likely to turn out to vote. The Washington Post ABC News poll showed Biden leading by 15 points overall, but when you focused on voters who were certain to vote in the election, that margin dropped to 11 points. And when you focused on voters who were certain to vote this time and also voted in 2016, the margin was just 7 points. A third thing to watch out for is whether Joe Biden stumbles in the closing weeks of the campaign. Biden has a very demonstrated history of committing gaffes as a candidate and has shown himself to be somewhat unsteady at certain points during this campaign. This campaign will shift in the closing weeks. There will be debates, there will be potentially more person-to-person campaigning, and there will be more scrutiny of both candidates. The fourth thing to watch out for is the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Democrats appear to have built a big advantage when it comes to use of vote by mail, which has been expanding in many states across the country. At the same time, polls show that Republicans are significantly less concerned about the virus, which suggests that election day turnout could be more favorable for them than it might otherwise be.
They walk right into that virus. They walk.
Yeah, so I think what's really interesting is that I think that we're experiencing a political climate that's the exact opposite. We're talking about the inverse of what happened in 2016, when there were so many people who believed that the person that they thought was a front runner was going to win, when in reality the voters went the opposite way, not necessarily because they loved the other opponent, but because they really hated the person that was supposed to win. And I think that we're seeing that again. So don't be surprised if you see Biden in the White House, or you see Trump trying to steal the election by claiming that the election results are illegitimate. He's already said he's going to try it. So
you saw the local elections. People waited in the rain with masks on for hours for whatever crazy conservative person that they were dealing with in their local level. They were like, I want this man or woman to fuck out of the office. I'm going to wait in line for it too. So hopefully that momentum keeps going into the national election, and people wait online. People really, whatever obstacles get thrown into, because obstacles get thrown into something we know it's going to make an impact. If it wasn't going to make an impact, it'd be like, you can do a toll-free call-in to vote, whatever, and it would make it super easy. You can text and vote, do whatever, but they make it as difficult as possible to vote, so obviously it must be important to do. So that's what I feel about voting, even though it still feels like going between a shit sandwich and a shit coated sugar sandwich. It's still better than the shit sandwich, what we have for Trump.